الله أكبر الله أكبر حي على الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر.
All right, giving all praises to Allah, Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the boundless universes. I extend the highest of honors to His holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder, the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. I extend high honors to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam. Extending high honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the 5-pointed green star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam. I extend high honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you, the Moors, with compound interests. Islam? Extending honors to the noble Sheik staff and noble Vanguard staff who keep the peace, and giving honors to you, the Ills and Bays, for without you, there is no Moorish movement. Islam? I also like to extend honors to my lovely wife, Sister Heru Ranesi-El. Islam? Praise Allah. How's everyone in the holy night? Praise Allah. Some mighty demonstrations that came through tonight, they're making it more difficult for me to come behind all this stuff. Praise Allah. You know, without a forward, soldier never knows his strength. Islam? All right. I like to open, because I heard a lot of, information coming across the floor, which is like right in sync with what Allah laid on my mind and my spirit this evening. What is actually this afternoon leading up to this evening, relative to the spirit of unity. As my brother Yanatan demonstrated, we have a tendency to think when it comes to unity that we all have to be on the same page ideologically. You know what I'm saying? Like dogmatically, we have to espouse the same things. And nowhere in history has that ever existed. Ever. You know what I'm saying? But there are certain core concepts that you'll see that, no matter what, we've always been. Like, I know a lot of historians, and I've talked to a lot of them in different camps, and I have yet to find any historian show me anywhere where our Afro-Asiatic people have ever been a secular people. Never been one. This is the most secular we've ever been in our entire existence on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Being here, on the shores of North America under the Roman yoke and occupation. So from time to time when we get off mark though, you know what I'm saying, and start, worshiping foreign concepts of which we know nothing of, right? But due to bondage situations and so on and so forth, you pick up these things. Allah in His infinite mercy has a tendency to send us prophets, right? And these prophets or these seers or these great sages or whatever. Their duty is to bring us back, to the path or bring us back to our original nature. And the Quran of Mecca, Surah 30, Ayat 30, it tells you that Islam is your nature. It's not your religion. Right. Islam, we have a tendency to thinking that, when we hear the term Islam, we, again, filtering through a pale Arab lens or a European lens, we have a tendency to think that, Islam is ritual. That Islam is custom. That, like you have Muslims all over the planet, nobody has the same customs. Like if you ask somebody, well, what's a Muslim name? There's no such thing as a Muslim name. It doesn't exist because every person that claims Islam should have a nationality of their own. The Moorish elders taught us, and it came down from the Prophet, that you have to have a nationality before you have a God. That sounds harsh.
Say it again, Moore.
That you have to have a nationality before you have a God.
How is that possible?
Because what happens if you do it the opposite way? You end up where we are right now. When you got a God and you don't have a nationality, you start worshiping your God in somebody else's image. How many people's grandmamas got that picture on the wall? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't even have to mention that y'all already left. Islam? The brother, the Roman name of his name, Caesar Borgia, that they call Jesus Christ. You see what I'm saying? The Pope's son, right? But I tell the story all the time. I went to a Chinese restaurant one time. I walked in, and the Chinese had a cross on the wall. It kind of hurt me to my heart. I'm like, y'all too? But then I looked at it, the cross is made out of jade. I said, okay. And I looked closer at Jesus that was on the cross, and his eyes looked like theirs. So they said, if we're gonna worship under this, he gotta look like us. Islam was? So you gotta have a nationality before you have a God. So Chinese been Chinese over 5,000 years. And in China, you got different ethnic groups in China that don't always agree. But what they do agree on, when we do business outside of this country, we're all collectively Chinese. Do y'all know that there's no language called Chinese? Did you know that? Doesn't exist. We say, oh, they speak in Chinese. They laugh at us. There's no such thing. There's Mandarin, there's Cantonese, but there's no Chinese. Right? But we say that because that's their one free national name that they collectively agree on, despite their customs. Right? Wow. There's 1 billion Indians in India. Right? There's over 300 ethnic groups in India.
Right.
Different customs, different ways about doing everything. But when you ask them what their nationality is, I'm Indian.
Talk about it.
Islam? European went through the same thing because he was the youngest strain of humankind on the planet. Right? So he looked at more civilized groups and said, wow, I need a nationality. Because there was a period of time he didn't have one. You see what I'm saying? When the more mentioned the Anglos and the Saxons, those were barbaric tribes. See what I'm saying? But they didn't have the nationalistic principles to make them a nation. They didn't have it. Right? When they got put under the Roman yoke, the Roman made them Roman citizens.
That's right.
Right?
Come on, man.
So all these ones of the British Isles that we know now as English started off as being subjected to Rome and accepting Roman nationality. Islam, and as a result of that, they had to do what? Fight in the Roman army, pay the Roman tax, so on and so forth. Right? But here we are in America. We find ourselves in a situation where we have the name, the free national name of American. Right? But America is different different than India and different than China. It's different than Japan. Right? Using these nations as an example. It's different because America is basically based on, immigration. It's an immigrant nation. People come here. So the standard for nationality in America is that you qualify your nationality by having to have a national descent or verifiable ethnicity in place. Right? Because here in America, there's no such thing. I'll give you an example. What's an American food? What? French fries? What? Pizza, which comes from Italy? You leave here, you're gonna get a hamburger, right? Comes from Hamburg, Germany. Or a hot dog, which is really a Frankfurter, which is Frankfurt is in Germany too. Chili dog. Islam? All right. So all of these things that we consider to be American are actually coming from other cultures that brought that here. Islam? What are you bringing to the table? Islam? What are we contributing to American society? And we know we've contributed. Let's be clear. You know what I'm saying? We look in certain areas, but we don't look in others. We look musically, we know we've contributed. We look athletically, right? We know we've contributed athletically, right? But we don't realize the cell phones we have in our pockets. Asia created that. Air conditioning, spark plug, right? And did a traffic light, right? We did all that on autopilot because we did that not knowing who we were.
Right.
Right? Now, let me share something with you real quick. Let me just read a verse from the prophet because I like to set the pace before I get into these other ideals. I'm going to draw from in the Holy Qurans that should be passed around, that you should have a copy of. I'll be drawing from chapter 26, which is for non-Roman numeral readers, that's XXVI, right? Holy instructions of unity. We hear you say Islam when you get there.
Islam.
Right? Because we have to understand what unity is. It's a word we throw around. But what is it really? And how was unity approached in the mindset of our forefathers? Because what they did worked. Why do we honor our forefathers now? I saw the covenant up here, right? Why do we honor them now? Why is it law to honor your forefathers? Because what they did worked. The Prophet Noble Raleigh told them, he used to tell the Moors a couple things. First of all, he told the Moors that the Moors are hard-headed, stiff-necked, and never did anything except by the point of a sword, which comes out of the book of Leviticus, if you know what you're looking at. And he also told the Moors, he said, your way you want, your way you will have, but your way won't work. Right? And all this that we're doing out here, we know it all. You see what I'm saying? You talk to our people, you try to bring some change to them. You know what I mean? They don't want to change, but their life is kicking them in the behind. Right? But you have to be willing to, change, really, go backwards into the mind state of your forefathers. So, holy instructions of unity. Instruction 1. It said, the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah. And he appointed to everyone his portion in what measure seemeth good unto himself. I could really stop there, right? Because that right there explains the different discernment abilities that we all have relative to a particular truth that's in front of us. So there's a truth, right? And if I ask everyone to give a portion of their understanding about their truth, I'm going to get different answers. And I have to be good with the different answers that are there as long as they're in conjunction with the truth. As long as it's not falsehood. Islam? All right? So, and that portion of understanding is something that's given to you by Allah, those different discernment abilities. Islam? All right? It says, hath he endowed thee with wisdom? Hath he enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicated to the ignorant for their instruction, communicated to the wise for thine own improvement. And that's what we use and disseminate knowledge for. We don't do it to beat our brothers up. You know what I'm saying? We don't do it to go on social media, to be condescending, and get on our high camel and look down on somebody. You see what I'm saying? That's not what it's for. It's to, what he say? Communicate to the ignorant for their instruction, and communicating to the wise for thine own improvement. So I know I'm talking to the wise, but this is really just to help make me sharper and make sure that I am who I say I am. See, it's one thing to get at home, be at home and study to yourself, but I'm deep. You know what I'm saying? I'm the deepest dude in the room. But get with some other masters who know some things. You know what I'm saying? Make you be like, you know what? Man, when my brother was up here, I was like, wow. I was blown away by the fact that, you know, he represents the Hebrew Israelite portion of our family, but the truth is the same. You see what I'm saying? Mine is having affairs. If I put affairs on, you thought he was, you know, a car carrier member, the more science stuff on Islam? Don't play with it. This is what I tell them, you know, our people, Asiatic spirit. Don't play with the beautiful thing that was given to us, the legacy that was handed down by our forefathers. Because we look like fools to the world, is what we really look like. Islam was? I digress. Instruction 3. True wisdom is less presuming than folly. Stop again. Right? So true wisdom, people, you know, would like to think that because you have true wisdom, it's flashy, it's flamboyant. No, it's not. True wisdom is really unadorned. You know, true wisdom don't need, you know, a fly suit on. It just is what it is, right? But folly needs all of that. Rhinestones, silk and satin. Look at me. That's folly. That's the stuff that'll kill you. You see what I'm saying? But the true wisdom is simple. That's why, like the prophet said, Islam is a simple thing. It says, the wise man doubteth often and changeth his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. He's addressed extremes. You know what I'm saying? You know, the zealots of our people, not the ones that demonstrate holy zeal, right? But zealots on some like, we need to just overthrow the government tomorrow. Okay, well, what you gonna put in this place? No answers. You understand what I'm saying? All right? It says, nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their impertinence and to pity their absurdity. So when you hear somebody that's out of pocket like that, Moses, you gotta pity the absurdity. You know, brother Raphael and I, but this brother, he's infamous on social media. I call him the social media propagandist. But putting real, like, sincere, spirited stuff up, but it ruffles people's feathers. So it was Asiatic. He responded, and I responded, but then I didn't know the more I had responded, and we had said the same thing, right? But the interesting part about it is that, you know, you speak from a position where you know the individual is demonstrating an absurdity, an absurd action. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end, the person is just trying to be right. You know what I'm saying? Prophet Noble Raleigh taught us, he said, you know, he's talking about the attributes of the higher self. You know, he said the higher self is the mother of all virtues and the harmonies of life, breeding what? Justice, mercy, love, and right. So before we get a chance to be right, you got to demonstrate justice, mercy, and love. And if you qualify for all of them, then you might have the opportunity to be right. You see what I'm saying? Okay. All right? Let's move forward. It says, yet be not puffed up in thine own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. The clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. So the thing that you see is most strong, that's the thing you're most weak in. You see what I'm saying? Oh, I just know this. Oh, word. Give it a little bit. Give it a little time. You know what I mean? And all of that will be busted up. You see what I'm saying? You got to get yourself out of the way. You know, and let Allah lead. Let the Most High lead. You see what I'm saying? You know, and that functions in your being as a small, still voice. That's not loud. It don't scream. It's a suggestion. You see what I'm saying? And if you're in tune with yourself, you humble out and you fall in. Islam? It says, the wise man feeleth his imperfections and is humbled. He laboreth in vain for his own approbation, but the fool peepeth in the shadow stream of his own mind, and is pleased with the pebbles which he seeth at the bottom. He bringeth them up and showeth them as pearls, and with the applause of his brethren delighteth himself. You know, birds of a feather flock together. Fools love to run in flocks, right? And I'm not saying that to be, how can I say, arrogant, right? But you'll notice this. People say things to get the applause. Islam? Not because it was put on their heart by the Most High to say.
Islam.
You know, because a lot of times the things that the Most High is going to put on your heart to say are not popular in this realm.
That's right.
You know, this is the realm of falsehood. Right? Why? Because it's the realm of material. Right? It's antithetical to spirit. Right? But you can raise the material up to the vibration of spirit. You can do that and function as a God man or God woman on the earth. You can do that.
Islam.
You see what I'm saying? Well, we say in the image and after the likeness, right? But, you know, if not, you fall into the dense thoughts, the dense actions, right? And then we end up being enemies to one another. There's no peace nowhere, no peace in the home, no peace, like the prophet said, on your jobs, homes, or on the public streets, no peace nowhere. All right? Let's move forward. It says, I'm going to read that again. I'm going to 6. It says, the wise man feels his imperfection is humble. He laboreth in vain for his own approbation, but the fool peepeth in the shadow stream of his own mind is pleased with the pebbles he seeth at the bottom. He bringeth them up and showeth them as pearls, and with the applause of his brethren delighteth himself. Instruction 7. He boasteth of attainment in things that are of no worth, but where it is a shame to be ignorant, there he hath no understanding. Right. Even in the path of wisdom he toileth after folly. And shame and disappointment are the reward of his labor. But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge. The improvements of the arts is his delight. And their utility to the public crowneth with honor. But pause right there. In the golden eras of your ancient civilizations, you overachieved in those areas, right? Where it talks about, you know, investing in the arts, right? And their utility to the public, because through the arts, you're using the arts to raise the people up, right? So the people, you know, by and large, the word democracy, right? Means mob rule, right? So we have, that degree of the mob inside our Quran, where it talks about, the prophet talks about the frenzied mob, right? Of ones that are worked up in their own passions and move in that perspective, right? But in our ancient civilization, we would utilize the arts, the sciences, whatever, to bring up the vibration of the frenzied mob to make them a civilized class. Islam? So when you go to ancient Kemet, or you go to Israel, or you go to Morocco, or you go to India, you go to anywhere we've been and set foot on, you see the arts, the statues, you see statues carved in the mountains. You know what I mean? To give like that awe-inspiring, like, man, I gotta raise up, look at this noble. You see what I'm saying? And it's looking just like you. We're not carving foreigners on the mountain. You know what I'm saying? You're carving images of yourself. So our babies, from the time that they can stand, are looking, seeing massive structures that look like them. One of the first things that the Europeans did when they conquered this land was to cut that Mount Rushmore in. You know what I'm saying? To put their forefathers on the wall looking like gods. Don't get mad, they learned it from you. That's what they're supposed to do. When you're in power, that's what you do. Remember, Adam was given, the commandment to name everything. Right? We were supposed to be those ones that went around and, I mean, if you really want to talk about it, you were actually the Elohim that instructed Adam to do that. But that's something else. I'll leave that alone. Right? But at the same time, I mean, because I just want to say, like, if I were to ask y'all right now, what street are we on? This is Cleveland Avenue. We didn't name that. Right. If I ask you what day we worshiping on right now, you're going to tell me Friday, which is a Norse goddess. Right. That's Thor's people. They ain't got nothing to do with you. Right. That's the mother more. Free you. That's not our more.
Come on.
Right?
Come on.
Don't have nothing to do with us. Right? So if we talk about freedom, let's really be free. You see what I'm saying? Let's really take back the things that are ours. But see, the wonderful thing about how this thing was presented, you could do it within the construct of that which is classed as American. You don't have to do it outside. You don't have to color outside the lines. Because I could take you to a place called Little Italy in Philly. You know what I'm saying? Over there by South Street and all that. Or I could take you to Buford Highway here in Atlanta. It's Mexican and Korean. You see what I'm saying? And they're American citizens. But they get all the signs is in Korean and Spanish. They don't need your money. If the signs are in their language, that means they don't need your money. That means they're circulating the dollars enough. Right. But they don't need your money. When the Mexicans got tired of MARTA going up, they said, okay, we're going to put our money together, buy our own bus line. That's right. And put the routes in Spanish. That's right. You can ride the bus, but they don't need your fare. Right. That's nationality. Islam? I forgot I had one more verse. Instruction 10. Nevertheless, The attainment of virtue he accounteth as the highest learning. I'm going to read that again. Nevertheless, the attainment of virtue he accounteth as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. That's Noble Drew Ali. Right?
Praise Allah.
Now, there's nothing that Noble Drew Ali said that the Prophet Moses didn't say. There's nothing the Prophet Moses said the Prophet Abraham didn't say. And the Prophet Abraham said the Prophet Jesus, Isa, didn't say. You know what I'm saying? All of them came bringing one truth. You know, or the forerunner of the Prophet, Marcus Messiah Garvey, who was definitely one saint. The same way we have to raise our thoughts that the same way we look at Abraham and all the great ones, Noah and all of them, we got to look at Marcus Garvey the same way.
Right.
We got to look at Noble Drew Ali the same way. We have to look at Ben Ami the same way. We have to look at Yahweh Ben Yahweh the same way. We have to, because these are the ones that came to us on these shores. You understand what I'm saying? Like, in other words, like, there's nothing wrong with giving veneration to ancestors. That's a beautiful thing, right? But if you don't give veneration and honor to your immediate ancestors that came to change your condition, then you're in violation of the law. Islam? Giving, you know, veneration to ancestors across water and stuff like that doesn't really empower you, because the ones that was here, that's your direct energy. Direct. You see what I'm saying? Like, literally, like, okay, I'll give an example. Like, we went to Moorish American Remembrance Day. And that's the, you know, celebration we have where, you know, we go over when the nationality was taken away, when we were actually made Negroes, blacks, and colors. October 14, 1774.
Yeah.
So those taking those, right? Every year we go to Philadelphia and we, you know, they show, you know, the Grand Sheik Brother Azim Hopkins Bey in Temple 11 actually shows us where they took the nationality. That's where they had the flag here, Independence Hall. This is where they had the whole thing. So as I'm there, one of my Sheik brothers, Brother Sheik Charles Brown-Hill, of Temple number 27, he introduced me to an elder. You know, I spoke to him, you know, a female elder. You know, Islam, nobody's just like Islam. And he put me aside, said, "More, you know, that's you know, John Gibbons-Hill. That's his great granddaughter." This is the Prophet, the brother who just drive the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I'm looking at his great granddaughter right here. See what I'm saying? So these stories, when we tell the history about Moorish, you know, history, like John Gibbons-Hill, that genealogy is still walking the earth.
Right.
So when I'm saying, like, when you give an honor to your ancestors that's here, their bloodline is still here. Like, you can press hands with them. It's not, they're not spooks. You see what I'm saying? It's different than reading it in the book. Than pressing the hand of a person that shares that bloodline. Islam? And why it's powerful too, to, you know, the science of purifying your bloodlines. You know what I mean? And thinking generations ahead. You know what I mean? You know, we suffer from thinking only one move at a time. I'm not a chess player, but I like the theory of it. You know what I'm saying? Of thinking more than one move at a time. You know what I mean? You should be thinking of how my grandbabies are gonna move in the world. The name that I have, that name should mean something. You see what I'm saying? Like, in other words, like, y'all heard of the European's name, Ted Turner? That name Turner in America means something. Right? So when his bloodline comes and presents themselves to the world with the name Turner, they'll be honored because people know they forefather and what he did. Islam? So you gotta wonder, the name that you have, what is it gonna mean to your grandbabies that might not even be born yet? You see? I'm a grandfather now, so I have grandchildren. You see? So my wheels move a little crazy at times, because it's like, I need inheritance for them. They should never have to grow up they're 7 and 3. They should never have to grow up and ask for a job from anyone.
Right.
Unless they want to work in one of our own family businesses. You see what I'm saying? That's honorable. Or to assist another Asiatic that has a business. That is also honorable.
Indeed.
You see what I'm saying? However, to have to go and fill out an application for a European, again, don't get me wrong, an honest dollar is an honest dollar.
Yeah.
Okay? But I'm talking nationality. I'm not talking, right? When talking nationality, you shouldn't have to fill out an application and submit to a European and debase yourself for a job. That's called a mercenary. Right? To suppress your own dreams for a check. That's not what this is. It's all the groups that we respect and we name around, the Jews, they got this. The Koreans, they got this. The Mexicans, they don't even, look, you know the strength and power it takes to not speak a language of a country, move there and carve out a community? There's a movie, everybody knows Godfather, all that type of stuff, right? So I stumbled on another one. I heard the name for years, but I just watched it the other day. And ironic, I'm talking about it while one of my Hebrew Israelite brothers there. It's entitled Once Upon a Time in America. Anyone seen this? Once Upon a Time in America. Profound movie. This is the Jewish mafia, how they got started in America. But I tell you, man, I mean, while I do not condone I can't condone the carnality that they engaged in to do that. But when you see, they have, they had a scene where it was like Passovers. It was like 500 Hasidic Jews in the streets going to the synagogue. You know what I'm saying? Well, in that entire community, there was nobody but Hasidic Jews, period. Right? I've been to Crown Heights before, and I've seen them, those type of numbers. It's not a myth. It's not a movie. It's real. You know what I mean? But to see, it's one thing to read about nationality and open a Black's Law dictionary, the quality character. It's cute, right? But when you see nationality functioning, right? Do you think, and I'm jumping, but y'all got melanin, you can keep up. Do you think that government shutdown they just had affected the Amish?
Not at all.
Who got their own land?
Not at all.
Hundreds and hundreds of, like far you driving, far as the eye can see, you on Amish land. Corn growing, everything organic that they grew, right? You think they worried about a shutdown? You think they worried about rent being paid? Oh, they build their own homes. Islam. Do you think if the technology went out, if there was an EMP blast right now, there was no more technology function, do you think they were worried? No, they don't use technology. Right? And I know this is an electrified age. I'm not saying we got to do that. But I'm saying you should at least make yourself recession and depression proof.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the brother said, like we've almost, looked at the European as a father. And our Native American brothers, who that's family too, because a lot of y'all got that in your family as well, right? But our Native American brothers, you know what they used to refer to George Washington as? The Great White Father. Look it up. The Great White Father. Islam? There's a mentality there. Research, I want to say his name was Richard Ross. He was the head of the Cherokee. He was an amalgamated Cherokee. He was mixed with European blood, looked European. But he was in charge of Cherokee around the time of Andrew Jackson and the Trail of Tears. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Research all these people and how they were moving and how they had gotten to the point where they debased themselves and had started to depend on the European to exist. Islam wars? And there's no excuse for us being as mighty of a people as we are to not be able to put aside our differences and get something done, not even for you, but for them babies. Islam? You have babies now being classified, ADHD, ADD, all kind of stuff left and right, because the European educational systems are not structured to deal with the enlightenment that comes through our children. Our children are breaking realms while they're in the form, so what they're trying to teach them don't stick.
Islam. Yeah.
You ain't talking to no mortal child. These are immortals that you're talking to.
Come on.
And when he don't respond to the way that you teach him, you put a label on him and give him some drugs. Islam? You better research upon what the European metaphysicians are calling the indigo children and the crystal children. You better read upon, and these children are channeling. They hearing multiple realms when you see them talking to themselves. Right? They seeing stuff that you're not seeing. Right? And some of us, because we've debased ourselves to such a degree where we've almost become European in our existence. We've become Negropeans. Right? Where we even think like him. So when something don't move according to our understanding, we put a label on, he crazy. That's the same thing as saying somebody's ADD or ADHD. It's the same thing. Putting false labels on stuff, misusing the divine gift of naming. The vibration. Islam? So there's penalties that come along with not being yourself. Islam? So I'm a barber during the day, and that's what puts food on my table. But by passion, this is what I do.
Yes.
Because I'm seeing my people every day in the conditions that they're under. Right? And as studied as we are, I'm talking about you people that are awake. Yes, that's the new term, right? You're awake. Right? You can be awake laying in the bed, right? But you're awake, right? We got all these answers still, but we're not doing nothing collectively. Let me read you something.
Go ahead.
Y'all don't mind if I read a little bit, do you? Say if you want to hide something from Asiatic, put in the book, right? We're going to try to break some of that tonight. This book has been read to death, but the title is Moors in Spain, right? Moors in Spain. If you don't have it in your collection, it's a classic. And I'm saying, even if you haven't proclaimed or don't even intend to proclaim the nationality as Moorish American, it's still a part of your legacy. You have it in your libraries to see your babies to know. So during months like this, they're calling Black History Month. They want their babies to write reports on slaves and how they descend from slaves. You say, no. Let me read this to you. Islam. This is from page 24 in Moors in Spain. Okay? And this is in chapter 2, The Wave of Conquest. And so as to not burden them was, I'm going to jump kind of like mid-paragraph. It says, lying hid. Now just sit back and reflect. Just, just clear your mind a little bit. Just, walk with me backwards in time. It says, lying hid till darkness came on, Mugith stealthily approached the city. A storm of hell, which the Muslims regarded as a special favor of Providence, muffled the clatter of the horses' hooves. A shepherd pointed out a breach in the walls, and here the Moors determined to make the assault. One of them, more active than the rest, climbed a fig tree, which grew beneath the breach, and thence, springing onto the wall, flung the end of a long turban to the others and pulled them up after him. So, we wore the turbans for multiple reasons. They instantly surprised the guard and threw open the gates to the main body of the invaders, and the town was captured with hardly a blow. The governor and the garrison took refuge in a convent where for 3 months they were closely beleaguered. When at length they surrendered, Cordova was left in keeping of the Jews. Now, that's a trick, because we know we're talking about Hebrews at this point.
Yeah.
Not talking about Jews, right? In keeping of the Hebrews, I'm going to replace it, who proved themselves staunch allies of the Muslims in the campaign, and who ever afterwards enjoyed great consideration at the hands of the conquerors. The Moors admitted them into their intimacy, and until very late times never persecuted them as the Gothic priests had done. Wherever the arms of the Saracens penetrated, there we shall always find the Hebrews in close pursuit. While the Muslims fought, the Hebrews trafficked, meaning in terms of commerce and trade, and more demonstrated. And when the fighting was over, Hebrew and Moor and Persian joined in that cultivation of learning and philosophy and arts and sciences, which preeminently distinguished the rule of the Saracens in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
So we've already been unified before.
That's why by 1492 they had to kick everybody out wholesale.
Gotta go. You gotta go. But see, 1610 really, right? Because 1492 was the overthrow. Then 1492 they struck what they called the Treaty of Granada. In the Treaty of Granada they said, okay, well, y'all overthrown, y'all out of government, but you can keep your customs. You can in your, because you know what the hood was called back in that day was called the Morelia. That's referred to the hood at the Morelia. Stop saying hood, it's the Morelia, right? So in the Morelia, we could govern our own, our own matters, commerce, trade, if it was a dispute, whatever. You can do all that. You see what I'm saying? But you got to pay taxes to Ferdinand and Isabella. You see what I'm saying? Who were basically the Spaniards who were working on behalf of the Pope, the Europeans, right? So that lasted all of about a year. Then it was like, we got to shut that down because they were afraid of the empire coming back together. Right, and still, even though he had been overthrown, if a synagogue needed to be built, the Muslims go help the Hebrew brothers build a synagogue. If a masjid needed to be built, boom. You know what I'm saying? The Hebrew Israelite sister might have been watching, the Moorish Muslim babysit. You don't give your baby to somebody you think is gonna kill it. You see what I'm saying? So that was 1493, and still at that point there was still a lot of wealthy, Moors and Hebrews. You know what I mean? So just like right now, if you want to rent a car, you go to Enterprise. Right? When Columbus wanted to come to the Americas, he had to come to the Moors. We owned all the ships. You see what I'm saying? And not only that, Newt had the maps, to add on to a measure that was mentioned earlier about early maps. One of the earliest maps that the Europeans even talks about is a map from one named El-Idrisi. And El-Idrisi right? El-Idrisi in Arabic just literally means a student, right, or studious one. But the El-Idrisi map shows like the commerce and trade, that we were doing. It shows that the Earth is not flat; it's like a sphere type situation, right? Which, keep in mind, the Europeans thought the Earth was flat. They're even teaching that now. We got that argument now, flat Earth theory, right? And who was it, by the way, that taught the Europeans that the Earth was flat? Why did we teach them that? Because if you think the Earth is flat, you'll sail out so far and then turn around because you think you'll fall off. Islam, or you'll sail out and you see a school of dolphins and we call them sea dragons and turn back around and go back, right? We didn't want them coming to America because this was a large gold mine for us. Thousands and thousands of years, right? So when Columbus wanted to sail over here, who were the ones that actually sailed them over here? It was Moors. You know what I'm saying? They needed a pinta de Santa Maria. It was piloted by Moors, right? Because again, back in those days, you had to know how to read the stars in order to sail. So astronomy, they showed you that. You know, remember, the European he hides stuff for you, but he codifies it, so you don't think it has nothing to do with you. Remember the movie? Thank you. Amistad, right? Remember the rebellion on the ship? Remember when they took the ship back over? Take us back home. And it's a European, and that's one European allowed. He's selling them what they think back home. And one of the brothers looks up. Wait a minute, you ain't taking us home. So he peeped the stars and realized you still taking us to America. But they bear witness that these Moors still was reading the stars at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the point is that, so that's, so from 1493 to 1610. 1610 was that all y'all gotta go. Hebrews, Moors, whatever. So the Hebrews split and went through various different areas. Europe, let's go to the map. So we're already in Spain. So the Hebrews went, a lot of them went into some of these territories and even into England. So if you look in the 1600s, Queen Elizabeth, you'll see a lot of Hebrews in her court, right? Some of them, were actually, were allowed to stay in Spain. So by the time you look at Alfonso X, what they call him El Sabido, the wise one, right? The reason why they call him that, he wrote a legal codex called Siete Partidas, which is the 7 parts, and it was Moors, Hebrews, and Christians who had studied under the Moors and Hebrews that wrote these 7 parts law system that was used in Spain in Alfonso's reign. You see what I'm saying? So again, you couldn't slide a credit card between the Moors and the Hebrews in ancient times. You see what I'm saying? So, a lot of times, like when I hear dissent ideologically, I just, you know what I'm saying? Prophet Noble Drew Ali tells us this, right? He gives us this key. Key 27, when you give in brief the line genealogy to which Jesus came. Some of the great fathers to which Jesus came are Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. Why did Noble Drew Ali give us a Hebrew lineage? Why was he telling us that? Why do we have tassels on our feathers? What does the tassel remind you of? If you don't know as a Moor, ask your Israelite brother what does he have on? The ZZ on. You know what I'm saying? Ask what that is. You see what I'm saying? That and how that ends up on your fez. Islam. Go to, in fact, if you look at this, this painting is called the Moorish Chief. The original painting is in Philadelphia, right? Now this is clearly a Moor, right? Okay. It was a Hebrew brother that pointed out to me. You can't see it in this picture because there's just this little block right here. But at the bottom of this painting, he has ZZ hanging from his car. So you have this is a Moorish Israelite. Islam? And by the way, this was painted by a European. Right? So again, you don't paint pictures of people looking like this royal unless you looked up to them as gods. Right? Just like the painting back here was painted by a European.
They had to sell us.
I want to say it's the same brother.
Was it Van Duyck? Was it him?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, Ludwig, I think Ludwig Van Duyck.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But why are they painting these royals? If you type in like a Google African Orientalist, like Oriental, but IST on the end, man, you get thousands of paintings of them painting your forefathers as you were the law. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were the law before there was a book that guided people to what the law was. To such a point where our morality and our virtue was so tight, we were the moral compass of earth at a certain point. It's not the case now, right? And as a result, what does the world look like since we fell? In the book Golden Age of the Moor, and there's like 6 authors in there, and that's by Dr. Ivan van Sertima. But in one of the articles in there, it said that had the Moors, and Moor they're using in that article as a supranationality, including all the clans and tribes, right? Israelites, everybody, you know what I'm saying? They said had the Moors not been taken out of power, the earth right now would be 500 years more advanced than it is. So all the stuff that you're looking at relative to technology and stuff like that, a lot of this is stuff that they're, different manuscripts and so on and so forth that they're translating that your forefathers already done. When the Europeans went to Mali, were doing archaeological work, they did a dig and unearthed over 1 million texts written in Arabic on every discipline known to man. Every. You know what I'm saying? Like they theorized on submarines and never got around to building it, right? Or maybe they did, we can't find it, right? But the point is, they got all this stuff. So, the European finds is like, what's this? And they were mimicking the walls and stuff that was on the walls of Kemet. But Pharaoh Seti the First, it was a submarine, a helicopter, and a jet or something like that, right?
And they had that in metal
Yeah,
tools too.
4,000 years ago. So we've been the truth, right? But we just lost contact with God due to hate. You know, and the more we're talking about Divine Love Day, and love is the most powerful principle known to man. Period. Right? When the prophet, one of the first 2 lessons he teaches anymore, says, learn to love instead of hate, and be yourself and no one else. If you can master them 2, everything else that you got to learn will be easy for you. But if you're hate-filled, you won't be able to get to the apex that you have to get to, right? Because hate blinds. And you'll forget the fact that this is your brother. Right. You know what I'm saying? And if you teach him right, he'll treat you right. Islam?
Islam.
Right? Let me draw from Holy Quran of Mecca. Right? Surah 45, meaning chapter 45. It's called Al-Jatiyah, meaning the bowing of the knee. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, Most Merciful. Instruction 1, Ha-Mim. There's certain mystical letters that comprise themselves, so certain surahs where the ayat started with 2 letters. And in its Sufi rendering, there's another explanation. We're not going into that tonight. Ayat 2, the revelation of the book is from Allah, the exalted and power, full of wisdom. Verily in the heavens and the earth are signs for those who have faith. And in the creation of yourselves and the fact that the animals are scattered throughout the earth are signs for those of assured faith. And in the alternation of night and day, let me pause there, you're more Shemaiah praise with, Allah, Father of the universe, Allah, love, truth, peace, and justice. Allah, my protect, my God, my salvation, by what?
By night and by day.
So, but they say Prophet Noble Raleigh didn't read the Quran back. But it's right here. Okay, let's keep going. And in the alternation of night and day, and the fact that Allah sends down sustenance from the sky and receives, talking about rain, not spooky, and revives therewith the earth after its death, and in the change of the winds are signs for those that are wise. Right? Such are the signs of Allah, which we rehearse to these in truth. Then in what exposition will they believe after Allah and His signs? Now, the word in Arabic they use is this word right here. Hadith. The word hadith means the tales of men. So now, what is the point that Allah is making? He's saying that after truth is revealed, right? Truth comes to humanity, right? Says that what men will do is put aside the truth that was revealed, that divine truth, right? That was meant to guide humanity and raise them up, and listen to what men say to explain it away. All right? So what does it say here again? It says, then in what exposition will they believe after Allah and His signs? You know, I've been warning the Moors for a couple of weeks now about don't fall into, don't become disunified after you've woken up to the truth. The penalties are a lot greater.
Yeah.
See, when you didn't know, yeah, there were penalties because you still violate universal law, but you're not aware that you're doing it. So there's a mercy that's there, right? But after you wake up and then you betray Allah, you betray universal law, you betray your brothers and sisters, the penalties are a lot greater, right? Ayat 7 says, woe to each sinful imposter. I'd like somebody to do me a favor. I need somebody to Google the word imposter. See what we get. I'm going to keep going. Ayat 8 says,
what is the definition for imposter?
thank you. It says,
As an adjective, it means gone by in time and no longer existing. Do you want to hear the next one?
yeah, give me another.
Oh, snap. What is the definition of imposter?
Imposter means a person who pretends to be someone else in order to deceive others, especially for fraudulent gain.
Islam. Thank you, Siri. All right? So that's what we're talking about. So someone who appears to be something that they're not, or doing it to gain get some type of fraudulent gain, right? It says, he hears the signs of Allah rehearsed to him, yet is obstinate and lofty as if he had not heard them. Then announced to him a grievous chastisement, grievous, right? So what is it saying, right? Truth is simple. Yeah, we can get lofty and all that, right? But in the process of doing that, does anybody stop? So why are we doing all this? You know what I mean? E equals MC squared, energy equals mass times speed of light. That sounds good, right? But break it down. How can these grandbabies, where is their inheritance within that? It's not to be found. You see what I'm saying? So there's a chastisement for those who are, what it says, obstinate, hard-headed, and lofty, right? You gotta have it your own way, all right? And you're thinking in realms of the soul. Let's get to the simple truths. You see what I'm saying? Pyramids are big, but the foundation was built first. Islam says, and when he learns something of our signs, he takes them in jest. So there are people that, when they hear divine law, they think it's a joke. When our Hebrew brothers say it's Shabbat, we're not doing no work, we're gonna focus on the higher. You see what I'm saying? There are those that would play with that. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Play what it represents. Play what, you know what I'm saying? When the Moors say it's holy day, Friday's our holy day of rest. And we resting, not resting from work, but from carnality, right? And we come to ascend to our Father God Allah, so that we take this day as a practice for every day. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just one day of rest. You should be resting from that mess daily. You see what I'm saying? But we have to, practice in it by being around those that might be a little stronger than us in that.
Yeah.
Right? And with hope, which is the beacon light, the beacon is increased when we're together. Right? So yeah, you could study on your own. You could go try to do something. You could open a business on your own. You could do all those things. But when we do it as a group, what is it? Group economics. Group everything is more powerful. Islam. All right? It says, for such there will be a humiliating chastisement. And that's what we're going through right now. Negro, black, and color, that's humiliating. When you're held up as the joke to the world, when your babies can get shot in the street and don't nothing happen. You know what I'm saying? There's a movie on Netflix, documentary, called The Alt-Right. Please write it down and check it out. ALTRIGHT. So they're basically breaking down like this is like the new version of the Ku Klux Klan and the neo-Nazis or whatever, right? And that riot that happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, this is the lead up to that, right? You get a chance to see two different perspectives on the lead up, right? It says in front of them is hell. In hell, we got a degree on hell. Hell is not a place where it's fire and cats burning and screaming and your eyelids being peeled back forever, right? But hell is a state of mind. Heaven and hell, right, is not above, below, or around, but instead it's within. Right now, on one of those floors of a hospital, it's called a burn ward. You might have somebody that, got caught in a house fire, right? 90% of their body is burned, but they're alive. That state of mind that they're in is hell. Islam? Somewhere on earth is somebody with a mansion with rivers running through it. Right? He's created heaven on earth. Right? The highest concept that he or she can conceive of. Islam? But right now I'm in heaven because I'm with my brothers. I ain't talking nothing crazy. And I don't have no fear that nothing crazy is going to pop off in this building. I'm in heaven. Right? And we got the cherubim facing every direction with the flaming sword. Praise Allah. Right? Garden at Eden. Right? It says, in front of them is a hell, and of no profit to them is anything that they may have earned, nor any protectors they may have taken to themselves besides Allah. For them is a grievous chastisement. This is true guidance. For those who reject the signs of their Lord is a grievous chastisement of abomination. Islam? In that section right there, you have 4 sections where they talk about, grievous, humiliating, and tremendous chastisements. Okay? So just, take note of that. Ayat 12 says, it is Allah who has subjected the sea to you. Anybody ever been to the ocean before? Been to the ocean? And the waves rolling in and stuff like that, right? Anybody ever been on a boat out in the ocean where there was no land, right? And you kind of feel powerless because you're at the behest or whatever. But in the Quran, it says that Allah has subjected the sea to you. See, our forefathers looked at the sea and like, I'm going to go conquer that. Islam? This was before GPS. This was before when it was safer as it is now to sail. This is when you could really, really die. You could die now. This is when you could really, really die. But you're talking about forefathers that was fearless. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to sail till I hit land on the other end of that. And I'm going to bring these items to sell. They're going to buy it. And I'm going to find out what they got, and I'm going to take this around the earth to sell. Right? So when you talk about, anybody familiar with the Phoenicians? They call the Phoenicians, right? The Phoenicians were the Canaanites, right? Yep. Phoenicians not our word, right? And you're talking about people that were sailing the Mediterranean, first of all, in the Middle Ages was referred to as an Islamic lake, right? There were so many ships going back and forth through the Mediterranean they were selling different goods and so forth, right? But you had the Canaanites who were selling the Canaanites were the first ones to circumnavigate the continent of Africa and get up in India and start doing trade with them and bringing stuff from India back around, which is why you'll see a lot of the furniture. If you Google Moroccan style furniture and Google Indian style furniture, it's the same thing. This because we've been doing trade back and forth with them, And if you go back to who the Indians really are, they're descendants of the ancient Canaanites. You know what I'm saying? Trace the genealogy out. If you go into Genesis chapter 10, the genealogical charts, you can start to see who's who on the planet Earth. Islam? Moving forward, says that ships may sail through it by his command, that ye may seek his bounty, and that ye may be grateful. And he has subjected to you, as from him, all that is in the heavens and on the earth. Behold, in that are signs indeed for those who reflect. Reflection is the business of man, it's not? Tell those who have faith to forget. They say believe, right? But that word in Arabic, the word in Arabic is mu'min. Right? Because again, you have to learn how to read your own language. Because people will lie to you about your own stuff.
You said the word was what?
Mu'min. Mu'min, and it comes from the word Iman, which means to have faith. And this Iman is the same Amen, same word, right? Mu'min is one who is of the Amen, or one who is of faith, not belief. Right? Belief is first, right? But then faith is a little different. When you're faithful to something, you're loyal to it. Indeed. When you believe in something, you can believe you're a husband to your wife, but that don't mean you're going to be loyal to her. Islam? But if you're faithful to her, that means you don't step out when things get rough. Islam? Huge difference. Right? It says, tell those who have faith to forgive those who do not have hope for the days of Allah. It is for him to recompense for good or ill each people according to what they have earned. Right? If anyone does a righteous deed, it is to his own benefit. If he does evil, it works against his own soul. In the end, will you all be brought back to your Lord. He takes us back. He gives us Allah in the Quran always gives us example of various different ones of our ancestors. It says, we did aforetime grant to the children of Israel the book. Right? It says, the power of command and prophethood. We gave them for sustenance things good and pure. We favored them above the nations. And we granted them clear signs in affairs of religion. It was only after knowledge had been granted to them that they fell into schisms through insolent envy amongst themselves. Verily, thy Lord will judge between them on the day of judgment as to those matters in which they set up differences. Not the differences that Allah said, but differences that we said our forefathers set amongst themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Right? And this is how, why does Allah allow peoples that he loves to be put in bondage? You see what I'm saying? Think about that. Why would Allah allow another people to chat? Like, in other words, the ancient Moabites, right? Some of the ancient Moorish forefathers. Ancient Moabites got put under the yoke many times because they were out of the sync, in the sync of the unification of universal law, right? However, during that time of Ruth and Boaz, they was allowed to come back in the congregation of the Lord, and through that lineage, David, Solomon, all these great masters from that union, right? And the Moabites through that union were redeemed. Islam, because at that point, subsequent, there was no difference between Moab and Israel, because it's one blood. Right. And so that was the way in ancient times. You want to settle a beef? Marry your children together. You can't hate them grandbabies. That's right. You can't do it. Islam? I tell a story to a select few, and I won't give all the details here. But my granddaughter, when my daughter first got pregnant with my granddaughter, I wasn't crazy about the situation, right? And I was filled with a lot of hate. I forgot all my lessons, all of them, right? And I was to and fro on the earth trying to devour something. I wanted this dude's head on a platter. And I had to go to one of my elders. That's what you do when you get off the path. You go to your elders. I went to one of my elders. I said, Elder, please talk sense to me because I'm thinking crazy right now, right? He said, young brother, let me tell you something. He said, when does the baby do? It's like 3 months. He said, all you gotta do is wait 3 months. Because 3 months and 1 day, when you look in that baby's eyes, all your hate will leave. I said, crazy man, elders. Why I didn't go to this job? You know what I'm saying? I want him to tell me something crazy to send me off. Man, so my daughter wanted me to be in the room. Baby's born. But, you know, the whole birth process was real traumatic for my daughter. So, you know, I used to take the baby and put it on. Daughter didn't want it. Gave it to me. No, give it to me for. Holding the baby, I'm bad, angry, looking at this baby. The baby looked up with them eyes. Her eyes were closed. As soon as she opened them eyes, I just left.
Islam.
Praise Allah.
Because this is my bloodline. I can't hate me. Islam was?
Islam.
You see what I'm saying? You can't hate yourself. So a lot of times it's like, I could, use this example and I move forward. But if you notice, if you study anything about the Italian mob, right? The Italian mob, first of all, how does one become a made man in the Italian mob? Anybody? What do they have to do? They gotta open. Well, that's leading up. That's leading up to it. That's leading up to it. But that is all that work. That's still you're still an underling. You know what I'm saying? But if they're gonna open the books and make you a made man, they say they have to open the books and trace your bloodline back to Sicily. Right? Now, if you research the history of Sicily, who ruled Sicily? The Moors. What dynasty? The Fatimid dynasty.
Okay.
Fatimid dynasty. If you get Mario Puzo's book, Sheik, what's it called? Is it the Mafia?
No, it's called the Sicilian.
The Sicilian, thank you. The Fatimid dynasty. These were the ones that ruled Sicily for years, right? And these are the ones, they mix with the Sicilian women so much that Sicilians, when you look at their complexion, they're about my brother right here's complexion. Go back and watch the movie Godfather. Don Corleone, his wife, remember her complexion? She was his complexion. Islam? You know, get the movie that you can pull the clip up on YouTube, True Romance. Yeah. Okay, for those not familiar, True Romance. And inside of there, just put True Romance Moors. And they give the whole breakdown of how our forefathers was in Sicily and mixed with the European women. It was very common how he said it, but the point is that, right? But the point is, Moors, is that if we want to solve a lot of these beefs, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because we got to get to the point where we don't allow our children to marry outside of those of us who are civilized. Right? Anybody familiar with the prophet Ezra in the Bible? Ezra? What was Ezra's whole demonstration about marriage? What did he make all the priests that married foreign wives do? Get rid of them. Got to get rid of them. Divorce them today. Marry Israelites. Period. Don't marry outside the bloodline. Islam? Are we going out in the world finding whatever, when we have righteous sisters, but sisters come in, right? Let's say a temple starts from brand new temple. There's not that many sisters there. Okay, I get it. You go out there and you propagate faith. Bring the sisters in. Once you bring them in, and the sisters start agreeing to live by the principles, should be no single sisters in there. Brothers come, it's a protocol. Brother comes to the grand sheik, I'm interested in the sister. Set up a meet, talk to the sister, you interested in the brother? Oh, no, not really. And then, okay, we let him down softly. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, if so, then you work it through the channels. And then you marry them together. And then when they have children, they marry those children within Islam. So and that's how you keep everything strong, right? That's nationality again. It's another aspect of nationality. People got nationality twisted. It's a very practical thing. All right. Moving forward, a couple more verses, not to burn the Moors. Right? It says, then we put thee on the right way of religion, so follow thou that way, and follow not the desires of those who know not. And the word that's there in Arabic for that, when they say the way, is the word Sharia. Sharia. Okay? Sharia literally means law, right? Men got together afterwards and say, no, it doesn't mean the law, it means the way, right? And the reasoning behind that is when you get away from law and say the way, that the way is ambiguous. Law is specific. Right. Law says you have to do this. This is your obligation. You have to. The way says you just do whatever, or the path. We're just going to follow the path. What does that entail? What am I bound to do by following the path? right? But the law says, no, you have to do this. And there's a spirit and letter of the law. So there's this dual, right? But read a couple definitions on that Sharia, because if you hear the word Sharia via the European, he's going to give you propaganda. From Hans Ware Arabic English Dictionary, right? The word Sharia comes from the word Shara. Write that down for you. And Shara is defined as, Shara is defined specifically as law or to point a weapon, to enact, or to enforce. Right? Act 1 of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, the Grand Sheik and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known to the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's Sharia. Right? But that's just the outer treatment of what the Prophet brought us in English. Islam was? Islam. All right? All right? A few more verses from the Quran. It says, there will be of no use to thee in the sight of Allah. It is only the wrongdoers that stand as protectors to one another. But Allah is the protector of the righteous. No, would you didn't read the Quran? Allah is my protector, my God, and my son. Okay. These are clear evidences to men and a guidance and mercy to those of assured faith. It says, what? Do those who do evil deeds think that we shall make them equal with those who have faith and do righteous deeds? That equal will be their life and their death. Ill is the judgment that they make. Islam was? And I'll end on that. So Allah makes it clear. There's no one thing about the creator of the balanced universe is, when it reveals a message, it doesn't mince words. It's very clear about what has to be done. But then, like I said, men will come behind that, and start trying to smooth out what it says to give more wiggle room for us to still act like fools. You see what I'm saying? And then when you start going in the world with cultural names, you know what I mean? We start taking on the names of our forefathers, cultural dress, fez, turban, whatever. The world is going to expect something from you then. You understand what I'm saying? This book right here, anyone ever heard of the Royal Institute of International Affairs? Write it down. Royal Institute of International Affairs. This is a think tank for the British government. Okay? And this book is entitled Islam in Perspective, A Guide to Islamic Society, Politics, and Law. Okay? So what happens is, when a European gets to talking to you about Islam, he's very well studied on Islam, don't get it twisted. That's why they created a shrine or order, right? So they could mimic living Islam. See what I'm saying? Because they knew that their forefathers were civilized by Islamic, government and rule. When the Europeans first overthrew us, what was the first book they translated into English?
Quran.
The Quran. Why?
Because the Moors used it to rule the world and civilize the world.
Because the key is like this, okay? We need to figure out how they did what they did. If they believed in that, we need to break that apart and see what that is. But what they did was the earliest translation of the Quran is called Lex. It's something like Lex Pseudo Prophet Muhammad or something like that. So like the law of the fake Prophet Muhammad. But in there, they're translating and stuff like that, and they used it in their governmental dealings. Right? So in this book right here, and this is the last chapter, the last paragraph I'll read, and then we'll go towards law in the meeting. Islam in Perspective. Chapter 2 is called The Law. We just talked about that. Should mean something to Israelites and the Muslims, because Torah, instruction, law, Sharia law. We law people, right? It says introduction. Whatever the definition of Islam, the quote-unquote whole duty of man is to seek to divine God's will and to live individually and collectively in full and willing compliance with that will. Quote, we made for you a law, so follow it and not the fancies of those who have no knowledge. Quran 45:18, just read it. Inevitably, therefore, the revealed law plays a crucial role in Muslim thinking. But there is and always has been considerable argument over which has constituted the divinely revealed law and the extent to which it is possible to distinguish between that law and the fallible man's interpretation of it. Indeed, the terms used, though precisely defined, and frequently used loosely and confusingly, all jurists, right, these are scholars, right? All jurists are agreed that the Sharia, literally the path, they agree it means that, comprises the entire corpus of the divinely revealed law, and there is no agreement upon the precise contents of that corpus. The term fiqh, write that down, F-I-Q-H, literally meaning understanding, variously defined as jurisprudence, jurisprudential interpretation, and precise and profound deducing of the Islamic regulations of actions from the relevant sources, means the process by which the rules of law and conduct were elaborated by the jurists by rational deduction from the traditional sources and precedent. That sounds like something, my brother right here is a law student, right? Don't that sound like something I would hear? So what they demonstrate in the law schools is fundamental Muslim thinking, stuff that we taught in our universities. Because remember, the Europeans didn't have any universities, so they went through the Moors, right? So they come in there, University of Salamanca, they invade Mali, University of Timbuktu, so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? It says the terms are often used interchangeably, however, and there seems no clear-cut and agreed distinction between the two in Sunni doctrine. So this is an interpretation. Somewhat confusingly, the sources of fiqh are identical to the sources of the law, and it just goes on, moving forward. But you have to remember that in the Moorish universities, they would do something like there would be a courtyard of the mosque, right, and it would be a group just like this, right, sit in a circle like doing Sunday school, and the imam or the grand sheikh or whoever would throw out a topic, right, and get everybody's feel on the topic, and what his methodology of doing it was not necessarily to deduce right and wrong up front, but instead to deduce the person's rationale or logic, how they got to the answer. So when we were in like second grade, they said do the math problem, but show your work,
Right.
because I want to see how you got to the answer. So same thing. That's what we're not doing no more. All we're worried about is the answer,
Yeah.
but you want to see how a person got there. Because if you didn't get there right, then it's not right. You understand what I'm saying? Because again, it says information out of season can do harm, right? So if you got it because you heard it from somebody, it may be true, but it's not true for you. So leave that alone until you've earned that. Islam, I've seen that like Moors, they'll come and try to talk above their experience. It's impossible to talk above your experience. If you haven't experienced a thing, you can't speak on it. You see what I'm saying? We have a demonstration in our Quran where Brother Jesus tells a Hindu priest named Bharata, he said, brother man, your thoughts are wrong. He's talking about his line of thought is wrong. How you tracing yourself back is entirely wrong. And he gave him the line of how to deduce logic. If you go by what man says, you'll never know. You simply guess, right? So everything that we're doing in terms of the community building and everything that we're seeking towards, you gotta get you right first. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have you right, our body isn't, my brother demonstrated about the arm and the legs, and right? But as a body is only as strong as its individual parts, right? So we're a body, right? But if we're a body and one of the brothers amongst us is homeless and ain't telling nobody, we've had it happen. Brothers come from that Moorish pride, brother won't say nothing. He know when he leave, he got to go live in a whatever, abandoned building, whatever, right? He clean himself up, come to the temple. But don't tell nobody about the circumstance. If we can't come together and fix that, we might as well all go back and be at Negroes. Right? We might as well all go back to sleep. If we can't heal or fix one of our brother's circumstances that needs us. If our brother is in adversity, sister. Our sister's in trouble, forsake her not. As long as we have a code, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation. That's in the code. But this is the point. So again, are we really who we say we are? That's my whole purpose of, speaking tonight. Are we really who we say we are? We're espousing our doctrines, we've adapted our lifestyles to live a certain way, stuff like that. But are we really that though? Or are we just the outer trappings of that? As a Muslim, I'm a more, I think I had this conversation with Brother Anfield a couple weeks ago. I'm a more in my core, everything about how I think is Moorish. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, you know, if I feel myself thinking Negro, I check myself so others won't have to. Islam? But the whole approach is like, if I feel like, nah, I shouldn't talk to that, stop that, that's Negroes. Go talk to the brother. You know, because he might have something for you. Islam? You know, one of my brothers, he put together, he's from London, he's working on a movie, I think it's actually out now on Amazon, but the clip is up on YouTube. If you type in the makings of a slave, it's a partner of mine named Kush, and he took the slavery narrative and turned it on its ear. So basically, the Moors are the ones that enslaved the Europeans, which we know historically, right? But I'm talking about on these shores, right? So they got, you know, set up on the plantation, and they got the European tied to the tree. You got the Asiatic. What's your name? O'Reilly. You know, that type of stuff, right? They got an Asiatic brother. He got, you know, a group of Asiatics together, and you know, the one that's talking, he has a black fez on, right? He's talking. He's like, you know, how do we keep control of our slaves? What's the most important? What's the most powerful thing? It was a sister. She jumped and said, love. And he said, and she said, love is based on trust. He said, you know what's more powerful than trust? He said, distrust. He said, you put the old one against the young, the whole Willie Lynch thing. But this is a brother doing this against the Europeans. So I'm interested that when this catches on, you know, how that's going to, in this political and racial climate, how that's going to, you know what I'm saying? Because one thing about the European, he can dish it, but he can't take it. Islam? And we're not saying this to promote hate, but, you know, and there was another movie years ago called The White Man's Bird. And that was, I think it was John Travolta, Harry Belafonte, and all that. And they dealt with it similarly. But the point is that, you know, the condition must be addressed before we even deal with unity. Because once we unify, if the condition's not cured, or at least in the beginning stages of being cured, it'll pop up there. See what I'm saying? In the midst of our unification, in the midst of our whatever major accomplishment it is that we've done, it'll pop up there. You see what I'm saying? And here we find ourselves slowing our progress to have to deal with stuff that should have been dealt with ahead of time. You see what I'm saying? So each prospective group that intends on unifying has to deal with it in-house. You know what I mean? So that way, by the time we you know, form our United Asiatic States, you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying it in the organizational sense, you know, it'll be a civilized group. I refuse to believe that the Europeans any more civilized than we are. But he has a UN. Where's your UN? Civilized, right? Right? Father of the universe, father of civilization, and all that. Where's your UN? So when we have when we fall out with one another, right? Where do we go to arbitrate our disputes? And what is the process for arbitration?
All right.
It doesn't exist. See how we looking right now? You see? But so in that case, is the European more civilized than us at this point? Don't answer that. It's rhetorical. We say tell the truth and shame the devil. Truth hurts. See what I'm saying? We like to consider ourselves. As soon as problems come, we go right back to Negro, Black, and Colored. You know, one of my Moorish elders said, you have to shatter your inner Negro. If you haven't shattered that, he's still there. Islam? Waiting to go to and fro on the earth and devour something. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, or statements? There's no way in the world I talk for that long and there's no questions. In that case, I'll lower the meeting. I ain't gonna burn y'all. Like pulling teeth. All right.
Islam.
Okay.
Islam.
Thank you, brother.
It's more of a, and I don't want to burden, you know, it's more of just a comment. You know, in arbitration, first you have to agree to arbitrate, right? So it's about coming together when we're not in a dispute and say, okay, when a dispute arises, this is how we're going to resolve it, and then enter into whatever agreement that is. And then once we come to that time, hey, remember, you know, we agreed to arbitrate. We don't have to go to the European courts or do anything like that. This is how we're going to settle our dispute. So it's, you know, the work starts before the dispute.
Islam. And that's so powerful, like the Prophet tells us, says when you separate the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity. Right? And that sounds easy, but in the midst of it, it's challenging. You know, to stick to your rules and stay, I'm gonna color inside the lines while I'm angry. You know what I'm saying? That's the challenging part. You know what I'm saying? And it's more important for brothers. It's very important for sisters because when they say a nation can rise no higher than its woman.
Right.
They're not, because you know we do all we do for them. So if they're not right, it's over, right? But it's very important for us in another sense, because when men fall out, we kill each other. I mean, I think I talked about that a couple weeks ago. You know, men are not, designed to argue for a long time until, okay, I gotta put my hands on it because it ain't going nowhere. Because it's gotta stop now. See what I'm saying? So, I mean, how many times have you seen that? I don't know where y'all from, but where I'm from, that's how it goes down, right? So, that being the case, you gotta, especially in the era where you got brothers not being raised by fathers. So they don't know what to do with all those emotions. See what I'm saying? Like a man, when you got a man raising you, a man is showing you, so what you mad? Get that air out your chest and get it done. You see what I'm saying? And you go, and go, right? But if you 30 and you ain't never been taught that, you know what I'm saying? Something go wrong, you might take a weapon and kill somebody. You know what I mean? And if you talk to a lot of our brothers, it's how they killing people, man, they was in their feelings. You know how many social media related murders there's been? Behind somebody put up a post and a young cat went and blew it up, especially in Chicago. Most of those deaths that we see in Chicago was social media beef. That's why, because there's no conflict resolution. Right? There's no way, all these, the descendants of all the ancient civilizations are here still in America, and we're not solving that. We're not creating the institutions, or opening our institutions up, right, for ones to come. And because again, when the beef go down, they're supposed to come and get the grand sheep. Right. There's something going on, these brothers, whatever. And we're supposed to go out there and, and handle that thing. You know what I mean? So, are there any other questions?
I would say so much to go home and meditate on.
Oh, praise Allah. Oh, you left us with a whole lot while you was up here, brother. Praise Allah. Absolutely. And we got to record it, so I'm going to go back and watch the tape.
Yeah, what?
We're gonna put it,
Let me make sure I
want you was right exactly there, brother. If you don't mind.
I don't mind. I didn't see a tape too, man.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's his job. Yeah.
Oh.
So we need a rush order on the edit. It's like, when we say edit, we don't edit anything out that you said.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We just put some nice soundtrack before it, whatever. Make it more.
Man. And I want to endeavor to bridge this gap.
Oh, it's already bridged, but look.
Okay, good.
When y'all's next event or something we can come support?
We working on it.
Let us know.
We working on it.
We'll be there.
Like I meant everything I said up there was like was pretty much like a State of the Union address. Like,
absolutely.
there's a level of being arbitrary, but we need to solidify.
No doubt. Get it on paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And live by it. You know what I mean? That's one thing, again, man. Once we remove the hate, you're able to look at other models that exist and start adopting things. You know what I mean? Like Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, the European will be left around long enough for you to learn how to run a government. You know what I'm saying? So, as arrogant as we like to be, he can't teach me, he can teach you a whole lot. Because Prophet says, attend your meetings promptly, right? So again, you ever go to City Hall, like right when they open? Anybody ever try that? City Hall opens at 9 o'clock, right? It don't open 9:01, it don't open 8:59. And I've done it, I've sat out there just to see. 8:59, 59 seconds, 9 o'clock, boom, doors open. You see what I'm saying? That takes a level of discipline. You got people that's in those governmental offices, they can't stand each other and they fall out, but they got a charter. They got a constitution to live by. You see what I'm saying? And when they fall out, well, what does the charter say? They go right back to them. You see what I mean? Google, like on YouTube, city council meetings just around the country. City council meetings. Arguments at city council meetings. And they happen, right? And then the chairman are usually, boom, boom, hit the gavel, coordinate, subsection, whatever, such as a fault, you have to yield the floor, whatever, and then hold everybody to the law. You know what I'm saying? And everybody follows it and they move forward. You see? We have to get on that level of order. You see what I'm saying? In all of our ancestral greatness, we're in a new era of time now, right? And that era of time functions smoothly according to parliamentary rules, right? And these things have to be taught. And again, the parliamentary rules they're using is the rules from the old court of our sultans and all of that type of stuff. So again, the European didn't create nothing. He took everything that we left and built on it.
We know what I really take from that. I think what the European has done is just replicate instruction in an unbiased manner. He did, but he had to throw a little his ego in it.
Yeah, because he has, again, right? Number one, that's a part of the birthright for ruling, number one. And then two is just that he can't help it because that's what he is. Because you bring, like I tell my sheiks, like when you get up and, behind here or, the guest roster to demonstrate, you take what the prophet said and you filter that through your own personality. Because the people need to hear it how you give it. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't give it how I give it, because that's my experience.
Yeah.
That's not your experience. You got to give it, like my brother here, he has that school teacher type I literally feel like I'm in class. Like, you know what I'm saying? My wife says it all the time. Oh, that I just love is different. You know? And just so on and so forth. You know, so you have to bring who you are to it. You see? So now, one thing to the Europeans' credit, and I know Asiats gonna have fun with this. They're gonna call me all kind of other times, whatever. To his credit, one thing he's an excellent documenter. He's like a biological supercomputer in this regard. Like who documents their own devilishment? Think about that. Like the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Y'all know about that, right? He wrote that down. That's how we know about it. He documented this amount of, we injected this amount of Asiatic men with syphilis. We let it go for this amount of years, and they infected this many thousands of people. He wrote it down. Why would you write that down? Right? Because as a scientist, he had to check the data and see the growth of what he done to see if it was a successful or failure.
That's discipline.
But again, where did you get that from? You go back to the Torah, the Quran. All this was written on parchments and scrolls. I mean, we were always writers. Always. That's very important to us. The only reason we know what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali did because the Moors of that time were meticulous in writing down the minutes. We have almost like, word for word speeches of what brother said then. You know what I'm saying? This is what actually so-and-so said. We got this whole demonstration. You know what I mean? So we, because we've been out of rulership for so long, we got to look at people around the earth that are ruling. We got to go back and study how our forefathers ruled. We have to find a happy medium between the two and utilize that for what we're going through in this day and time. You see? And that's the solution. You see what I'm saying? Or as oversimplified as it may seem, right? That's generally it. You know what I mean? And it takes, the next generation. How old are you?
29.
You know what? I'm out here. 29 years old. Brother, I'm 46, right? And I'm sitting here, and again, I figured you were young, but not because of how you looked or anything like that. And definitely not by what you said. But I was like, this is clearly, forget his age, this is an elder I'm listening to. I'm glad you found that funny, right? But I'm being serious, like, you gotta remember, like, those of us that are here now, I don't want to go here because this is another half hour I want to do this, but many of us that are here now are here, this ain't the first time we've done this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's no strange happening. Whether it was, somebody in your bloodline back that stood up before that you might not know about. You see what I'm saying? Or whether it was you back in your bloodline that stood up and you don't know nothing about. Right? It's no strange happening that you're here tonight because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you happen to be here. And it was a series of events that led up to you being here. Right? You ever get in a car accident? And trace the car accident back? And if I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have.
Yo, I crashed
If I wouldn't have woke up, if I was 5 minutes late, if I'd have put this shoe on before that shoe on, if I'd have checked the air in the tire before but the circumstances were right, or as we as most Americans say, at the time appointed by Allah.
Look at this, man. I crashed my last Beamer on Peachtree because my belt broke and I wanted to go to Marshall's to buy a new one when I got off work.
How about that?
Lost
That's why
the
you crashed
whole
the Beamer.
way. I'm like, I should have just went home. I should just
Rock the broken belt.
I should just be a thug and sag my pants. Why they want me to be upright? You know what I'm saying? I'd have had my whip still.
That's how crazy. I'm saying, like, when you study the universe is hilarious.
Oh my
It's hilarious, but see again, when you're aware of it, then you really start knowing how to move and you start thinking 7 times before you move. You see what I'm saying? Because if I say this is gonna happen. If I do this is gonna happen. And it's a healthy balance because you don't want to. That'll drive you crazy.
Doubt is often.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? But again, that's what meditation, prayer, all that should balance. You see what I'm saying? Or just the moments alone.
So you judge rightly in the moment.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? Rightly divide any circumstance. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not hard to just to just go into your passions and end up messed up. And see what was crazy? We find ourselves, we be parents and teaching that same inconstancy to our children. So I'm going through that with my granddaughter right now. She's like very much as a Cancer, very emotional. So I'm teaching her how to channel her emotions. We had it out this afternoon. And at the end of it, she was just like, I'm sorry for screaming and crying and acting crazy. It's all right, Islam. You back now. Welcome back. And you gotta be there. With ourselves and our people. Because if not, we're gonna curse the generations behind us. A curse is not nothing spooky. It's a cyclical happening. As masterminds, we measure time by cycle ages. Time is not linear; it's a circle. See what I'm saying? So the same thing, come back around again. Where your grandparents could look and be like, "Yeah, we used to do that back in the day." Same foolishness, right? But at some point, somebody has to step in and gate the circle and break the quadrant. So in other words, right? This is a circle of folly, right? Craziness, right? At some point, somebody has to be born to give the lineage options. Man, come on. Now, we ain't got to do it that way. We can come in through the east gate. We can come in through the west gate. We come in through the north and south. That way we can perfect ourselves. And then, when you become that, then maybe perhaps you can close the circle back. Perhaps. Love and time will cancel our ancient hatreds in this regard. Islam, but for now, till we get it right. Till we learn to become the message that we bring, right? And become the change that we seek. Until that point, we gotta leave it open. Islam? Because we gotta leave it open for a master might come in from a different discipline with a certain energy to just utter a sentence and leave to change this whole environment. That's what Noble Raleigh was. Came in for the little time he was here. And here we are, 91 years after 1928, when he set up the Moorish Science Temple of America legally, right? Still changing lives. Still, you know what I mean? My brother's 29. Praise Allah. Do you know what 29-year-olds are doing in the world? They're not behind podiums giving measures on change for our people. They're not doing it. Right? So y'all bore witness to something tonight. So the future exists. Don't think it doesn't. He's right there. Islam, you have any children?
No, not yet.
Please let us know what you do. We gonna blow it out. We gonna have a big, cause we know what them babies gonna be. Boy. Tell me.
That's probably what it is. Most High just fashioning.
Oh yeah, you know the potter. You know you got the potter. You know the potter. You know, and sometimes the rhythm's not right when you're making the clay. You know the vase will come. You know to the side.
He made Abraham wait to the last minute.
Gotta make sure you burn all that stuff out. Make sure you upright. Cause you know in the Quran of Mecca we call him Ibrahim al-Hanif, the upright one. You know what I'm saying? He's also known as Khalil Allah. The friend of Allah. You see what I'm saying? Like, who think that we now in that same Quran it says Allah has no partner, but he called Abraham his friend. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but again, it's all in how we live our lives. You know, a lot of times we look over the fact that Allah is using us as tools. You know what I'm saying? To accomplish an end. And when we don't do that, you know what I'm saying, we're shirking our obligation and duty to the universe. See what I'm saying? Do you know what it took for you to be born? Let alone for you to come. Think back to the same thing about your beamer, right? Think back to how you became awakened. And the series of accidents that led up to you talking to that brother or that sister, or introduce you to a book, or watch this video, or come to this lecture with me, or whatever. And you ended up in an environment where you heard something new to change your life forever. We say, I don't want to eat pork no more. I don't want, like we talked about earlier, I don't want to do this. Christianity ain't feeling right. You know, you start wanting to make these changes. You know? It seems like a series of accidents, but it's actually all divinely ordained. You know,
hunger for knowledge.
Exactly, but the hunger comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Because how many of our people out here going out about their lives daily and ain't hungry for no form of knowledge, other than the latest world star fight and some foolishness, and Soldier Boy and the rest of it. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Listening to the dialogues, right? And with that, our Lord meeting. Islam, Lord? Islam. Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Raleigh founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam? Islam. All praise are due to Allah, the highest of honors, to his holy divine prophet. Noble Drew Ali. It's loud, boys.
Wow.
Praise Allah for this wonderful discourse we had tonight. I don't even think that y'all know what we covered tonight. It's a lot of times when you're in a situation where they say you can't see the forest for the trees, you know, this is why we recorded and posted later so you can go back and, wow, we covered that. Wow, I know. Oh, wow, you see what I'm saying? And this is why we give, you know, language and history, all the different things, because we don't want you to be believers of what we say. That's not what this is. You know, we want the only way you become empowered is through that which you know, and can apply. You see, and any form of knowledge that does not have you at the center of it is worthless. You see what I'm saying? So whether, let's say, you come pretty affluent and you want to go to college, praise Allah, that's a beautiful thing. But if you go to college and don't know who you are, you're gonna come out with somebody else's program.
Facts.
My brother, violence to our brother Yosef Anfield, who attended law school as a Moorish American Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Like, he goes there with his turban on. You know what I'm saying? He goes there knowing who he is, but going to go get, the law degree or whatever way he's gonna go with the law to come back and help his Moorish American community. You know what I'm saying? And because that's equivalent to what other nations around the earth do when they send their children to college. You see what I'm saying? Not our people not knowing, we send our children to college to be somebody. Not the fact that they're already somebody, and go there to bring that back to help others to create a more solid infrastructure. You understand what I'm saying? And the only reason the Morelia, the hood, looks the way that it does, right, is because ones that are affluent enough to go to college, whatever, they go to college, get a high-paying job, and they leave. Yeah. They don't come back and build the infrastructure, right, and teach children, that I went to college, you can go too. You know that, right? You see what I'm saying? I'm a mathematician. You could be a mathematician, right? But I'm not good at math. Yes, you are. Your forefathers were phenomenal at math. They show you an easier way. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because again, like, the spirit, because we honor our true and divine prophets, that Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc., right? But the spirit of what they're calling Jesus, right, is, incarnating to show you love made manifest. Yeah. Incarnating to show you the possibilities of man. You see what I'm saying? So what one man did or what one woman did, all men or all women can do. You see what I'm saying? So if the European built, the Jefferson Memorial, which was really your forefathers, right? But their idea is that I want that built, then your forefathers can clearly build it and govern it, right? The Honorable Marcus Muhammad Garvey said, if they have a president, you should have a president. If they have a military, you should have a military. Everything they have, you should have. Everything that other nations of the earth have, you should have. Stop looking at theirs in this awestruck fashion, right? Because it's the Negro that's the beast of burden for the other nations, right? So ain't y'all tired of carrying somebody else's water? Would you like to carry your own from your own well? I'll leave you with this. One of my elders said, get your mouth out of somebody else's kitchen. You see what I'm saying? Always do for yourselves. And support those that are doing for themselves. There's an Asiatic family in Jonesboro that just opened a gas station. I'll see if I can shoot the address around everybody, support them. And see, here's the discipline, right? You might not live in Jonesboro, right? But even if you live somewhere near Jonesboro, you should pass 30 gas stations to go there to get your gas. Yeah. That should be your obligation to do that. Because you know how hard it was? I don't even know their story. But you know how hard it was for them to go in business and to stay in business? Because do you think the Europeans want to see them owning that gas station? Exactly. So whose job is it to support them? An old Jew told me a long time ago, I'll go past 30 businesses to support my Jewish brother and pay more when I get there because I know that money's going to a Jewish family.
You say that every Friday, every holy day.
Oh, okay. I will, but don't tell me that. I'll put a quotation. I'll beat y'all upside the head with do for such. And no, because you can't say it enough. The prophet said nothing needs to be preached about by us more than economic security. See what I'm saying? Because all that we doing has to go down to, are we putting our dollars together? And I don't care if it's pennies, nickels, dimes, and dollars. What they say on there, coming to America, says, we like the kind of jingles, but we prefer the kind that folds. Because you can do more with the kind that folds. But the point is that you got to put your money together because y'all heard of what the Africans demonstrate called susu? Y'all never heard of this? Where they'll put a pot,
like a partner.
Yeah, a pot of money together, right? And then each person, like either once a week or once a month, whenever they decide, gets the pot or a percentage of the pot. You see what I'm saying? But you can never miss a payment. Like, you gotta contribute to it each time. You know what I mean? So let's say it was a rotating pot of $30,000, $40,000, and it was your turn to get $40,000. What could you do with $40,000 in a year? You You understand what I'm saying? Like these things are being done. This is how the Africans on Campbellton Road grew. They demonstrated susu. You know what I'm saying? Where they started with a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? And then they built the mosque and they got, tailors. That whole strip is Senegal and Gambia.
Nice. Over here, right over here?
Campbellton Road. Right, from Delow all the way up to Greenbrier Parkway.
Okay.
Yeah, so the mosque is not too far from Greenbrier Parkway. And then coming back more towards Delow, they got like a couple of restaurants. They got a sister, Macola Market. Macola Market is, it's like an alteration shop where they get garbs and stuff like, like nice African style garbs, they make them there and stuff like that. But the point is, that's how they grew like that. You know what I mean? They get them pots together, and when they get together to party, you see them doing their parties, they put the garbs on, they bring the trays of food. While they're there, they put money together too. That's the side that we don't hear about. We just see them partying, because that's all the side we want to see. But they put money together for generations ain't born. And they look for an excuse to put money together. You just had to do baby, hey! You gotta raise your job, hey! Put $40,000 together right quick. You see what I'm saying? Because they've already got down to that discipline. They don't hang with nobody else other than each other. They don't put money together with no, and if they do, it's to contract. You know what I'm saying? Because generally, what they do amongst each other is a hand press. Right? Enforceable by the oldest, the elder, right, highest ranking elder that's there, and the brothers. And a big thing is, you broke your word. That's huge in that community. I know a family that got put out for breaking their word. They're over here, and all three of the children are on drugs now. Child born in Senegal speaks well-off Arabic and like 3 other languages, but he's like drinking lean and all kinds of stuff because they kicked him out of the community. We study nationality. Like I'm not just up here talking this. Like I study groups and I talk to them and they're not playing. They don't play because they know that's their life. This is all they got. Because they know America really don't care nothing about them. Right? But we care about each other, so let's show it. You know what I mean? And if you really want to see your brother succeed, you put money behind it. You know what I'm saying? You won't just say, "Oh, you my brother." Yeah. If your brother's hurt, what you mean? What are your talents? My brother. So what do you do again? You say you're concrete. What is it?
I'm a carpenter. I do concrete construction.
Concrete construction. We can't utilize our brother's abilities. We don't need something. I think the chairman just said something about filling holes and okay, you know what I mean, or building structures. Or what? I think you said you're building a parking deck, right? Your company that you're with. We got a brother sitting amongst that builds parking decks. You know what I'm saying?
And the funny thing, brother, not to interrupt.
Come on, Adam.
Brother, elder in the congregation that I attend, is an architect by trade since 76 or something. He would rather do his floor, his schematics by hand. Don't like using the computer. He knows it. He'll rather do it by hand. So that means what? We want to do a facility. We don't have to waste time giving a contractor, just do your thing.
Exactly.
He has a plan.
Right.
Do it this way.
Right.
So that we can cut the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And we get something done fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. So, that's the part of the ancient Moors that loved Israel. You know what I mean? Because the ancient Israelites was masters at cutting costs on things. No, we're not going to spend all that money. We're going to do it this way. The Moors were like, oh yeah, that works. That's fine. Let's run it. And that's how we. You know what I'm saying? Because it's against all our books to be frivolous with spending. You know what I'm saying? So you'll hear me a lot of times, no, that's against the Moabite religion. You hear me say that? But because again, all the money that we spending frivolously could be going towards the nation. You know what I'm saying? And I just can't help enough but to look to them babies to make sure they have an inheritance. That's the prophet said, until you have a national grand treasurer, you're nothing. You know what I'm saying? Until you have a national grand treasurer, you're nothing. Right? So this is supposed to be a national movement. So until we have a treasury for that, we're nothing. So we still have a long way to go. You know what I mean? But all of that starts locally with smaller templates and models that work. And then that can be adopted and replicated throughout the nation. You see what I'm saying? So, we've always had an open door policy. We're here with civilized people. So our door's always, brother, you're more than welcome to come back. We want to see more of you.
Most definitely.
And, like I said, let's trade numbers and stuff like that. Let's keep up with each other through the week. Islam? Everyone please rise. Face the east, which is right ahead of you. We close with prayer. Tradition of our Moorish forefathers. Hold your feet on the square. Your heels will be touching like this. Raise 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Invoking the sacred presence of 7 Elohim that created everything that ever was, is, and ever more to be. For our visitors, please adopt a position of prayer that is comfortable for you and giving homage to our collective creator. Please repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation,
and my salvation,
by night
by night
and by day.
and by day.
Through his holy prophet,
Through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam, boys.
Islam.
Praise Allah.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah.